Hey, thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. As you know, I like to make art paper dolls. I like to do one-of-a-kinds and use my own creations and make them interesting and fun. I use them in my journals. I make ornaments out of them, and I have a decorative tree that I hang them on to have a paper doll tree. So I just thought you might enjoy watching me put together this paper doll ornament. So stay tuned and I'll show you how I did it. I'm going to start with some upcycled packaging. This is thin cardboard. I like the weight of it. And this cute stamp of a teacup. I'm using Ranger Archival ink because it is acid-free and it is permanent. So if you try to color things, you can use watercolor paints or any kind of paints. It stays put and it doesn't bleed out. So I really, really like this ink. And it's a dye ink, so you don't have to heat set it. It dries right away. And I'm going to just stamp my teacup. I've colored my cup. I want the cup to be white, and so I kind of just did some shadowing and then colored in the flowers. And I may do gold on that band across the top. But if you've watched me before, you've seen me do this trick. And here's a Ranger embossing ink and then Ranger clear embossing powder, and what I like to do is to just cover this whole thing in ink. So I want to ink it really well, and I want to do it so that I can see when I turn it that it's glossy everywhere, to make sure that it's completely covered in ink. And this is going to make the teacup look like it's really porcelain or china, because it's going to end up being shiny. And so once it's completely covered, I'm going to put it in my little tidy tray and cover it in embossing powder. Pour that embossing powder back in my container. And now I'm going to heat that with my heat gun. And as you heat it up, you'll see the embossing powder melt. Right now, if you can see, the embossing powder is very powdery. And so it really looks like it's covered in almost like baby powder. And when you heat it up, it'll melt. And as it melts, it gets really, really shiny. So see how now, look how shiny that is. So it just makes that cup look like it is a porcelain cup. And now I can cut it out. And I used an X-Acto knife to cut out the inner section right here. Now I'm going to take a pen and go around those edges so that that white edge of the cardboard doesn't show. It just makes it look nicer and a lot more finished. Any brush marker will work for doing that. And now you have nice edges. Well, I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I kind of just did a little quick sketch of what I want my little fairy to look like. And I'm going to go ahead and ink this and cut it out. Cute little character I like her, and I need to just cut that little part out with an X-Acto knife. And I made the arm cutaway so that I can slip her behind and have her be coming out of the cup, like that. I took my little piece of cardboard and I cut out a little extra piece like this that I'm going to put behind to make her hair like three-dimensional sticking out behind. And I'm using a Molotow paint pen. It's acrylic paint to color the image. I added hair to the back side of this side too, so that it's dimensional hair on both sides. It's cute, and I colored it in. She's getting cuter and cuter. Now I'm going to take some of these wings. These are the acetate Ranger Tim Holtz wings, and I'm going to trim the edges. I don't like the edges around them, so I'm going to trim those edges, and I'm actually going to cut the wing pieces apart. So here's what they look like when I trim that edge off and then cut them apart. I like the way that looks much better. And I'm going to go ahead and glue my girl into place, my little fairy, tucking her in. She's so cute. Get her where I want her on the teacup, and then I'm going to glue her in place. So now I'm going to take the wings and I'm going to put them in place, and what I like to do with the wings, why I cut them apart, is when I put my wings on, I like to overlap them so they look more realistic. Like that. Wings would be overlapping each other like this. So I'm going to put them into place, overlapping the wings, and then glue them. Next I want to make a tea bag tag, so I'm taking a tag from a Twinings Earl Grey tea bag, and I've printed out on cardstock the saying, "Come join me for a spot of tea," and I'm going to just place that over it, and with a pencil draw around it, and I'm going to cut that out and add that to this side of the tea bag tag. Now I'm just going to go around that edge. I'm using a Tombow marker, and I'm just going to add some blue around the edges. This will fade out a little bit as it dries. And I'm going to glue that in place right here on this tea bag tag. Next I'm going to thread this string to the tea bag tag onto a needle. And then I'm going to poke a hole through this where I want this tea bag tag to come through, and pull it through to the back like that. Figure out how long I want it to hang down, and then I'm going to glue and tape that into place on the back. Next I'm going to take these cute little flowers that I have. They were Jolie's flowers that were back from my scrapbooking and card making days, and I'm going to add a few little flowers to her hair. A fairy has got to have flowers, right? And then I'm also going to add a few to the tea bag just to decorate it. Last step, I'm going to take some eyelashes. These are either from a local beauty supply or from a dollar store. And I used to do doll making, and I would add false eyelashes, so I think she needs some bling. So I'm going to just cut a little piece of eyelashes, and I'm going to put some glue in place and use some tweezers, and I'm going to add some eyelashes to my girl. And I'm going to let that dry. So here is my teacup fairy all decorated and done with her cute little tag that on one side says Earl Grey tea, and on the other side, "Come join me for a spot of tea." And she's got some embellishments, some cute wings, some sparkles, some eyelashes. She's pretty cute. So I hope you enjoyed watching me put together this paper doll. She could be used in a journal. You could glue her down on a journal page and do a really fun background and add her to a journal. Or you could put her on a bookmark and use her as a bookmark. You could, I could put a hanger on it and she could be used as an ornament. So there's all different ways that you could use an art paper doll. So if you're interested in purchasing this cute paper art doll creation, you can either go to that where she'll be listed available. It's a first come first serve, and they're all one of a kind, so the first person that messages me and wants to purchase her will be the person who will receive her. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how I put together this art paper doll.